let's get started with the crust. So into a mixing bowl, you are going to place 1 cup of flour, all-purpose flour, and just put it right in here like so. And then after that, we're going to put in 2 tablespoons worth of granulated sugar, goes right in there, and then 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt goes right in there. And then we're going to put in 1/2 of a cup of diced butter straight out of the refrigerator. It has to be cold, okay? So that goes straight in here like so. Then you're going to grab a pastry cutter, okay? Pastry blender, sometimes it's called. So it's has a couple different names to it, but you're going to go ahead and cut the butter into the flour mixture here so that you can get the butter to be about the size of peas, okay? It takes a little bit of time to do this, so especially because the butter's cold, right? You can actually put this into a food processor if you want to, but a lot of people don't have them at home, so I like to do things that are kind of more grounds up that you would actually learn in a culinary school. You learn about equipment, but you also learn how to do things by hand, which is actually a skill called being an artisan. And so some people, you get more money for being an artisan chef than you get from being a, just a run-of-the-mill, put everything in a big machine type of a chef, So working for like General Mills or some other big food company, right? So that's kind of what I'm doing right now, is kind of making sure that these butter particles are pretty small, okay? Then the other thing that makes pastry crust successful is using the right amount of water, and it does have to be ice water, okay? It can't be like, so I'm just gonna right now take these and move them between my fingers as well. Sometimes if you want to create striations in your pastry, you just take your butter and you rub it so that it creates flat butter. See how it does that? Creates a flat sort of a texture that is delicious as well. So I'm just going to do this a few times with my hands. Okay. I should have actually used a larger bowl so it's not so messy, but that's all right. We'll deal with it, right? All right, so we're almost to that point where our butter has been incorporated pretty well, okay? Takes a while. Cooking is all about being patient and not hurrying things along, Like some people like to use really high temperatures and they burn everything. So you have to use the right temperature most of the time for things to turn out really well, okay? So we're going to put the ice water in here next, okay? Okay, so we're gonna be doing 2 tablespoons of ice water, and I have ice in here already. So just measure this out. Try not to get any ice cubes in it. There's 1. And here's number 2. Okay. So just take a spoon, right? And we're going to mix this around here. Like so. And this is going to create a nice pastry. Okay. Crostata. I love apple crostata. We're choosing this type of a recipe rather than a pie because it takes less time and it tastes great and it's kind of ethnic. And then also just because then you don't have to have like 25 pie plates for your whole entire class, So sometimes that gets expensive when you're all making pies and 5 classes or something, So, so just kind of knead this around, and we're looking to put this into a ball, okay? So that's why I decided not to wash my hands off. So just kind of work this around so we get this into a ball. And then we're going to actually refrigerate this for 1 hour in a Ziploc baggie, or you can use saran wrap, whatever you have on hand at your house or at your school if you're a student from another high school or from a middle school or junior high. Junior hires can do this too, so can middle schoolers. Okay, so we're getting there. So at this particular point, we're going to put this out on the board and knead this a while. So just put everything out here like so. I'm just going to set this aside over here and just knead this until everything's incorporated. Okay. So because there's such a lot of fat in here, it's easy to not have to have a lot of moisture in here, because 2 tablespoons doesn't seem like a whole lot, but it is a whole lot when you have a lot of butter that you're dealing with. Okay, so now that we have this nice and incorporated with our kneading, we're going to put this into a baggie and put it in the refrigerator for 1 hour. Then we're going to roll it out. Okay, it's time to cut up all the apples and do this apple crostata. So I'm going to, I already cut up 2 apples in here because I don't want to put you through all the peeling of all the apples in here, right? I'm just putting this down here to catch all the skins so I can throw them away fast here onto this paper towel. But you're supposed to peel, core, and slice and dice 3 apples. I used 1 or 2 Granny Smith apples and then 1 Brayburn Fuji apple. So like 2 are sour and then 2 are, or excuse me, 1 is sweet. Okay, so that's how we're doing this. Okay, try to get off all the peeling though, because it doesn't taste good with the peelings on. I've had my students, as one of the, you know, blooper things that happen in school is, you know, you tell them to peel the apples, but they don't peel the apples for a pie, and it turns out horrible. And they learn never to do that again, right? Put that over there, okay? And then we're just going to cut this into 4s real quickly here. And then take out the interior, the core. The thing about this is interesting, you know. You can use equipment. You can use an apple core if you want to. You can use one of those peelers, you know, that you get from like the Pampered Chef or whatever, or from some kitchen store. If you want to do that, you know, that's perfectly fine with me as well. I do things the old-fashioned way, though, a lot of the time. So, you know, as I was talking to you about earlier, it makes things a little bit more artisan when you do that, okay? Made by hand, you know, like clothing that's made by hand, you know, or blankets or quilts or things like that. You can do that with food as well. Because believe it or not, you can tell if there's a lot of love that goes into food, right? Just like plants and things like that, people have a knack for growing plants, you know, because they talk to their plants and they really baby their plants. The same thing with food. If your food will turn out better if you really spend the time to appreciate all of the ingredients, right? So we're just going to cut these into really small slices here, of about this small here, if you can come see those. We don't want them to be large at all, because it takes longer for them to cook, okay? And we don't want that to happen either, okay? So after you cut these into slices here, then you're just going to dice them a little smaller. You can use a chef's knife if you want to, but I'm using a serrated knife, so. Okay, and these are all in here. Okay, and there, we're almost done. 1 more here. And then we'll put this together. Okay, we'll get our ingredients out of the refrigerator and roll it out and be ready to go. Okay, so here we go. We have all of our apples in here. We're going to then do something, we're going to use a zester, okay, and an orange, and we need about 1/4 of a teaspoon of orange zest in here. I like using zesters and instead of those microplanes, and the reason why is because the zest does better. It looks better and it tastes better actually in the dish. So they made these for a reason. So I actually, and they're not very expensive to buy at the store, kitchen store, okay? So 1/4 of a teaspoon here. So that's enough right there. And then we're just going to take a little slice out of here and just squeeze in a little bit of orange juice, okay? Squeeze in a little bit of orange juice. About, all the way up to about a tablespoon you can put in here, okay? And a little dash of allspice, a little dash, that's it, okay? A little teeny bit here, and a little teeny bit of cinnamon here as well, okay? And we're just gonna mix this together using a spoon here. Oh man, it's January and it's the perfect time for a warm apple pie. I already set the oven on 450 degrees, okay? It's preheating right now. In this bowl, we're gonna put 1/4 of a cup of flour, okay? Then we're going to put in 1/4 of a cup of sugar. Okay, this is the topping, okay? Then we're gonna put in 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt, okay? That goes right in here. Alrighty, and then we're gonna put in 1/8 of a teaspoon of allspice, and I actually ground my allspice from big allspice seeds or pods or whatever they are, and I put those in here, okay? And then a 1/4 of a teaspoon of cinnamon goes in here as well, okay? And then you're going to put in 1/4 of a cup of cold butter right out of the refrigerator, diced up, okay? And then we're just going to move this around here, get all the butter coated, okay? Get all the butter coated, and then we're just going to process it with our fingers one more time here. Just kind of smashing up the butter here. This creates a really nice topping for the apple crostata. Oh man, I can already smell the oranges, the apples, the cinnamon, the allspice. Oh, it's just wafting up my nose. It smells so good, you guys. I wish you were here to smell it. Well, it's time to roll out the dough. So you're gonna put some flour underneath here, you know, and then we're just gonna take a rolling pin and roll this out. We're going for about 11 inches in diameter here. Okay, so it has been in the refrigerator. I'm gonna pull up my sleeves here. And and also it doesn't have to be perfect, but it does need to be a circle, okay, for a crostata. Yep, put a little bit more flour down. Don't add too much though, because we don't want to add floury bits to this that are too much, okay? So just keep on going on this. Try to get this into a nice little circle here. And it doesn't have to be perfect, like I said. We're going for rustic here, okay? So this is not enough here, so let's put a little bit more flour down here. Let it slap back down here, because it gets stuck when the flour is underneath. So you just kind of keep on going on this here. And, whew, we're almost there, you guys, almost. Okay, and then you're just gonna take this here and roll it up on to the rolling pin here. Okay, and then we're just gonna roll it out on here. Do our best to do that. Set this aside here, and this is over here. Okay. You want to come here and look here. So we're going to take all of these apples here, and we're going to put it right in the center. There we go. We have to leave about a 1.5-inch border. Okay. So. Alrighty. We're almost there. Go. Almost there. Everything kind of shrinks in size, okay? So there we go. There we go. And let's get all these little bits of oranges off of here. Okay. So then we're going to go ahead and take the topping, put it on here. This kind of helps it to also cook when you have all this melting into it and getting hot. So this goes into the oven for 25 minutes, like I said, at 450 degrees. Pretty high temperature, actually. So just keep this in here. Oh, it smells so good. I love the smell of apple pie and ice cream or whatever you want with it, right? So good. Okay, so here we go. Let's we're gonna crimp this up here. Take the side here, just crimping away here. Keep this going here. And keep on going, fold it up, go around here. Keep on going, okay? Keep on going here. All right, smash this down just a little bit here. This is going to go into the oven for 25 minutes, and then we're going to have apple crostata. Yay! See you in a little bit. Well, the timer went off, so let's get the apple crostata out of the oven. Oh, look at this. We're just going to let this cool down for about 30 minutes before we slice into it and eat it. Well, this is cooled down and it's ready to eat, and I'm excited about it. I think you should be too, especially if you make this at home. So let's go ahead and cut into this and serve up a slice here using our pie server here. And then let's put some ice cream on that, because what is a crostata? That's apple without a a la mode on it. So we're going to put a scoop of ice cream right on top, just like so. And let's go ahead and put that right there, I guess. And we'll hit right into the delta here. Look at those apples in there, all that goodness. So a little bit of ice cream and a little bit of crostata, and let's try this. The apples are moist, got the cinnamon and a little bit of allspice in there. Great flavor. The sweetness is awesome. The actual crust is crunchy. Wow, this is so good. You've got to try this at home. I would like you to subscribe and hit the bell. Give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next week. See you later. Bye-bye.